In a quiet mountain village, people spoke of a monk unlike any other. They said he walked where others feared to tread, into forests haunted by spirits, across rivers that swallowed men whole, through valleys where silence pressed against the heart. No one knew why he walked, only that he never stopped. His sandals were worn thin, his robe faded from sun and rain, but his eyes carried a calm no storm could shake. One evening, a young villager named Ren followed him. Ren's heart was heavy with fear of failure, of loss, of life itself. He believed if anyone could teach him courage, it was this monk. At first, the path was easy, lined with bamboo and fireflies. But the further they walked, the darker the forest grew. The wind whispered like unseen voices. Branches clawed at Ren's arms. His breath grew shallow. The monk said nothing. He simply kept walking, steady, unhurried. Ren wanted to turn back, but pride kept him moving. His thoughts screamed louder than the forest. What if there are spirits? What if I am not strong enough? What if I never return? Then, just as the shadows thickened into an almost suffocating black, Ren saw the monk pause. Slowly, the monk raised his lantern. Its dim light revealed something strange ahead. Something that made Ren's heart pound so hard. He nearly dropped to his knees. And in that trembling moment, Ren realized, this walk was not about reaching the end. It was about surviving each step. But what lay in the shadows before them would test his courage in ways he could never imagine. The lantern's glow flickered, stretching shadows across the twisted trees. Ren squinted into the mist and saw the outline of something tall, unmoving, as if carved from the darkness itself. His knees trembled. Every story he had ever heard of vengeful spirits came rushing back at once. The monk, however, stood calm. He raised one hand not to fight, but as if greeting the figure in the fog. Ren's breath caught because the figure moved, slowly, purposefully. A branch cracked behind them. Ren spun, only to find nothing but trees bending in the wind. The shadow drew closer, its shape clearer now. It was neither man nor beast, but something caught between. Ren wanted to run, but his legs refused to move. Fear chained him to the earth. The monk whispered, his voice steady. Fear will bind you tighter than any spirit. Then, without hesitation, the monk stepped forward, straight toward the shadow. Ren gasped, torn between following or fleeing back to safety. His heartbeat thundered in his ears. The shadow stopped just beyond the lantern's reach, its form trembling like smoke. The monk lifted his lantern higher, and the light revealed something Ren could hardly believe. The lantern's glow cut through the fog, and at last the shadow took form. Ren's eyes widened. It was not a ghost, but a towering wooden statue, an ancient guardian, half buried in moss and vines. The face of the statue was cracked, its eyes hollow, yet something about it felt alive. Ren whispered, It's watching us." The monk placed a hand on the statue's base, bowing his head with respect. Ren shook his head in disbelief. Why bow to something so frightening? The monk replied softly, "Fear blinds men, but respect opens paths." At that moment the ground rumbled. The forest seemed to breathe, and the air grew heavier. Ren stumbled back, clutching the monk's arm. "What's happening?" The monk only smiled faintly. "The walk tests us. Courage is not in silence, but in steps forward." Suddenly, a path lit up behind the statue, glowing faintly as if guiding them deeper into the forest. Ren's heart pounded harder. To follow meant stepping into the unknown. To turn back meant living with fear forever. The monk began walking toward the glowing path, without hesitation. Ren stood trembling, every instinct screaming at him to run. And then he made his choice. Ren's foot pressed into the glowing path. The air shifted, warm, heavy, alive. Each step made the ground pulse beneath him, like walking on the heartbeat of the earth. The monk walked ahead, calm as ever, his lantern steady in his hand. But Ren felt eyes on him. Not one pair, hundreds. He froze. "Something is out there," he whispered. The monk did not look back. He only said, "Eyes cannot harm. Fear is the only enemy." Suddenly, one of the shadows moved. A figure stepped forward. A wolf, black as night, its teeth flashing. Ren staggered back, heart hammering in his chest. The glowing path seemed to flicker beneath him. The monk stopped walking. Without turning, he spoke. "If you run, the forest will devour you. If you stand, the path will hold." Ren's hand shook. His breath caught. The wolf's eyes burned into him, waiting for his choice. The world seemed to fall silent. The forest, the lantern, even his own heartbeat, waiting. Ren took a single breath. Deep, steady. And he did not move. The wolf blinked, then lowered its head. Slowly, it melted back into the mist. The path blazed brighter, stretching further into the unknown. The monk finally turned, a faint smile on his lips. "You have taken your first true step." The forest grew quieter as Ren walked forward, the wolf's shadow fading behind him. The monk's lantern glowed brighter now, its flame steady against the deep dark. Ren's chest still heaved, but inside him, something had shifted. Fear was still there, but it no longer ruled. Then the path opened to a clearing. At its center stood a great stone arch, carved with symbols older than memory. The monk stopped before it. His voice was low but firm. "Beyond this arch, no one can walk with you. Not me. Not the village. Only your courage remains." Rin swallowed hard. The arch shimmered faintly, as if alive, waiting for him to pass. His legs trembled. Doubts returned, clawing louder than the wolf ever had. "What if I am not enough? What if I break?" The monk turned to him, his eyes calm as still water. "Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to walk forward, even as fear walks beside you." Rin looked at the arch, then at the monk, then at his own shaking hands. And slowly, step by trembling step, he began to walk toward the arch. The forest held its breath. The arch pulsed brighter with each step. And as Ren's foot crossed the threshold, everything around him changed. When the light faded, Ren found himself standing on a vast plain of stillness. There was no forest, no wolf, no arch, only silence so deep it pressed against his very soul. The monk stood a few steps away, lantern now extinguished. Ren's voice cracked. "Where are we?" The monk's eyes held him, steady and kind. "We are where courage is tested most, within." Ren looked down. His chest was tight, his legs weak. He felt small, fragile, exposed. The silence grew heavier. His fears returned, not as wolves, not as shadows, but as memories. Each one whispered, each one tore at him. His knees buckled. The monk did not move. He only spoke. "Courage is not to fight the shadows, but to let them pass through you." Rin shut his eyes. He let the voices wash over him. The pain, the doubt, the fear. They did not vanish, but they lost their chains. When he opened his eyes, the phantoms were gone. The plain shimmered like morning sun over water. The monk smiled, just faintly. "Now you understand. True courage is not the absence of fear. It is walking on, even when fear walks beside you." Rin bowed deeply. His heart was lighter than it had ever been. When he rose, the monk was gone. Only the path remained, stretching endlessly forward. And for the first time in his life, Rin walked it without fear.